That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so we are going to be back with the weekly edition of Patreon Dynasty Trades, where I'm just going out there, making a Patreon post saying, hey, comment with any real Dynasty trades you've made within the past week. That way I can go through and break them down on a new video. It's easy for me to make a video like this when we have a ton of videos to make, consider we're making a Dynasty video every single day this offseason. I'd imagine that people like it because we're talking about real moves in real leagues. And at the same time, I'd imagine it's actionable as well because maybe it gives you ideas of different trades you could be making in your league. So of course, if you want more videos like this, please go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment as well with any real trade that you have made as of late. That way people that maybe aren't in the Patreon community can at least go down to the comment section and can get a feel on some other trades that are being made. But I think that should be it for the intro of this video. And let's dive into this. And let's look at the first trade coming out from Richard. Says 10-team Superflex, half PPR, where we got 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, and double flex. We traded away Gardner Minshew, so just trash, Brandon Ayuk, Travis Etienne, the 202, and a 2023 second. And we got back Leonard Fournette, Debo Samuel, and the 309. Okay, so when you're talking about deals like this that have real cornerstone assets with them, like Debo Samuel, I mean, it's just the easiest thing ever to go through and remove Gardner Minshew and to remove the rookie pick 309, because who the hell cares? I mean, like, that's you going through and saying, hell, I am a big time CEO. We're going to have an acquisition where we're acquiring $100 million of stock from this other company. And also, I want a free sandwich on top of that. Who the hell cares about the free sandwich? No, we're just here for the meat and potatoes of the deal. And that's going to be the Debo Samuel, Leonard Fournette versus Brandon Ayuk, Travis Etienne, the 302, and the future second. Now, to look at Travis Etienne versus Leonard Fournette, I know that this may be controversial for some people getting into Dynasty Fantasy Football. Now, give me Travis Etienne. I know that not many people are going to agree with that, but if you look at Travis Etienne, we've talked about this time and time again. Yes, going to be playing in a very bad offense. But just as we said with DeAndre Swift, who literally is Travis Etienne's best comparable player, I mean, Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift, both in very bad offenses, but both great pass-catching running backs, have an adequate BMI to handle work inside the red zone, had the NFL draft capital indicating that they are going to get opportunity at that next level. So, I mean, they're literally just new age Aaron Jones. They're new age Alvin Kamara. Of course, they're not as good as those players. They're not as talented. And at the same time, they're playing in worse offenses, but still, they're that new breed of running back that we're trying to chase in a PPR format. Now, given the fact that this is a half PPR league, they're a little less valuable with just a smaller need for those running backs to catch passes, but you could make the argument for Leonard Fournette as well. And then going over looking at Debo Samuel versus Brandon Ayuk. I mean, with Debo, this was a wide receiver that we had ranked behind Ayuk coming into the year. Obviously, that looks laughable at this point. I mean, I think at this point, you would definitely prefer Debo Samuel over Brandon Ayuk, the 302, and the future second. So I think this is a fair deal. I think that it probably just goes to the side that you're on, whether you're a rebuilding team or a contending team. And if you're a rebuilding roster, you probably prefer going through and getting someone like Travis Etienne, given the fact that with Travis Etienne, you know that you have a runway of 4 to 5 years with him. And Leonard Fournette, drafted in 2017, going to be signing his 3rd contract this offseason. Probably you don't have that long of a runway. And I know Debo Samuel, he was just drafted in 2019, but Debo Samuel played all 5 years at South Carolina due to a bunch of different injuries. Like, let me look up how old he is. I'd imagine that Debo Samuel is 26. Yeah, Debo Samuel just turned 26 already. So, I mean, you do have Brandon Ayuk as a little bit of a younger player. That doesn't matter as much. I'll say this is a completely fair trade. I think it's up to you. I'd love to know your opinion down in the comment section, though. Let's go to our next deal coming out from Josh. Says Kirk Cousins and Mike Williams for a 2023 first and a 2023 second in a 10-team double quarterback half PPR league. I'll say at this point, I think that you probably prefer having the 2023 first and second. Now, I don't want to say that that's a landslide win, but the reason that I'm saying that we would prefer the rookie picks is just the optionality and the flexibility that it's going to give you throughout the offseason to go through and make other deals. Now, this is something that I'm going to be talking about in a separate video upcoming, but those 2023 first round picks, I mean, are the perfect trade targets at this point of the offseason, because not only does that class look loaded with guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba, I mean, Bijan Robinson, a ton of good running backs in that draft class, but they seem like they are so far away at this point. And they are. I mean, think about it. We don't have games being played for 2022 for another 200 days. But the perception on those picks are going to be changing within, say, 6 months. Because if we wait, not even 6 months, if we wait 4 or 5 months, everybody's already going to have their 2022 rookie drafts. So when you go on Sleeper, when you go on MFL, when you go on Flea Flicker, wherever you're playing and you're constructing a trade, and if it's going to involve rookie picks, the closest rookie picks to happening are going to be those 2023 picks, because all those 2022 picks will be no longer in the system because you already have the guys like Treylon Burks and Sam Howell already on your roster. So I like the idea of going out and overpaying for these first and second round picks right now, because I am guaranteeing you that their street price is going to be higher by the time we get to June, by the time we get to July, because also that's when people are really just looking at their dynasty leagues and saying, hell, I need to construct this for the next 10 years, as if that really matters. So I actually like the idea of going and making this trade. If it was a 12-team league, I would not, though, because in a 12-team league, Kirk Cousins and the just ability to be able to count on him as a starting quarterback this upcoming season would be a little bit too much. But in a 10-team Superflex league, a 10-team league, quarterbacks aren't going to be nearly as valuable. Now, going over to our next trade, that's going to be from Joe. Says, I traded Keenan Allen, Kadarius Toney, Joe Mixon, and Amara St. Brown for David Montgomery and Jamar Chase. Okay, so if we just break this down, love selling high on Amara St. Brown. If we try to balance out this deal and we look at Jamar Chase versus the other side, I mean, with Jamar Chase versus the other side, who would you prefer, Jamar Chase or Keenan Allen and Joe Mixon? Give me Jamar Chase, whether I'm a contending team or a rebuilding roster. I think Jamar Chase, based on what we have seen so far, not only at the end of the year, but also what we saw in the NFL playoffs in round one, I think that you're probably planning on having Jamar Chase as your dynasty wide receiver one for the next 5 years. Now, yes, earlier this offseason and earlier this year, I had Justin Jefferson, his former teammate. But goddamn, Jamar Chase looks good. And then also, if we're looking at David Montgomery, we talked about this in depth. I don't want to continue to just kick a man when he's down. I'm selling Amara St. Brown. I mean, if we're looking at Kadarius Toney and Amara St. Brown versus David Montgomery, give me David Montgomery. With St. Brown, my issue is I'm just viewing him as a receiver that is 100% going to have more target competition coming to Detroit this upcoming offseason. He's going to have to dodge the NFL draft. He's going to have to dodge NFL free agency. And even if Detroit doesn't bring in another receiver, which they will, because Detroit has the worst receiver core in the NFL, and they have a ton of draft capital to address the position, and they have a ton of cap space to do so as well in free agency. Even if he's able to dodge those, he's still going to get TJ Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift fully healthy this upcoming season, which will take targets away from him. I am going to prefer Jamar Chase here. And let's move to Adams, and Adams is going to be a 10-team Superflex tight end premium. We traded Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a 2024 second rounder for the 108 this season. I'm hesitant to say that I like this trade for a couple of reasons. A, with this being a 10-team Superflex compared to a 12-team Superflex, those rookie quarterbacks are not going to be going as high. I mean, I think if you're looking at the 108, I mean, at the 12-team Superflex league, you know, based on the supply and demand of the quarterback position, you will have Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett. I mean, probably even Malik Willis completely off the board, possibly Sam out in that range. And you're going to have great running back options falling to you. You can possibly get someone like Kenneth Walker here at the 108. And if you want to just reset the clock with a rookie running back that wasn't as disappointing as Clyde Edwards-Helaire through his first 2 seasons, I'd be fine with that. However, if it's a 10-team league, those quarterbacks inherently are going to be worth a lot less. And I think those running backs like Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker, they're not going to be available to you at the 108. So if you were loaded up with running backs in your roster, I'm fine with it. I don't really like this trade, if we're going to be completely honest. Yes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks horrendous, but at the end of the day, he was selected in the first round in 2020. At the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs are paying Patrick Mahomes $50 million a year, and they don't really have the draft capital to address the running back position this offseason either. So I think the Chiefs probably want to bring in a different running back than CEH. I don't think they can, though. Okay, our next question going to come out from Cody. Says, 12-team PPR, Russell Wilson, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, and the 103, The other team gets Stephon Diggs and Lamar Jackson. In terms of value, who wins? I'm going to operate under the assumption that this is a super flex league, so you are definitely going to prefer having a pretty big gap between Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson. I would say if you're looking at that gap, probably it's enough to say that Amari Cooper fits that. I mean, if I asked everybody watching this video right now who you'd prefer between the combination of Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson and Amari Cooper, I think probably most people would prefer going with Lamar Jackson. And then if you're looking at the 103 versus Stephon Diggs, I think that's clearly going to be Stephon Diggs in this year's draft class. So I'm actually going to be going with Stephon Diggs and Lamar Jackson with this deal. So please don't make this trade. I would love to know your opinion down there in the comment sections though. And then Zach coming out says Barkley for the 102 in a super flex 6-point passing per 10 teams only. Need to start 2 running backs. We have Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, already have the 102 and the 103. Now, I know a lot of people really have been trashing us for going through and taking Saquon Barkley too early in Dynasty startup drafts at this point. I honestly think I'm taking Barkley here. I know that with Barkley, this is a player that definitely is falling down Dynasty rankings as he should be. Now, I want to put into context what happened with Saquon Barkley at the end of the year. The Giants offense was the worst offense in the NFL, and it wasn't even close. Once you had Daniel Jones going down, I mean, to look at what you had over the past 8 weeks with the New York Giants, 10 points, 13 points, 9, 21, 6, 10, 3, 7. This team's averaging less than 2 touchdowns a game. Like, what are we realistically expecting for Saquon Barkley to do in that offensive environment? Now, with Barkley, I don't want to just completely write him a pass because even beyond this, he was very bad. Beyond this, he split the backfield with Devontae Booker. I mean, we've seen running backs just be in horrendous offenses before and be able to be somewhat productive coming out of them. We've seen David Montgomery. We've seen James Robinson in 2020. Now, the issue in why Saquon Barkley wasn't able to be that is if you look at James Robinson in 2020, he's playing 90% of the snaps, where Devontae Booker had a real role here at the end of the season for the New York Giants. Now, I'm assuming that this was because, obviously, Barkley dealing with that ankle sprain. And real quick, I know a lot of people are going to see that Barkley missed that stretch in the middle of the year. People are going to remember Barkley dealing with another ankle injury, and they're just going to come out here saying, Saquon Barkley, injury prone, can't stay healthy. Do y'all remember? He stepped on someone's foot and rolled his ankle. That could happen to anybody. I know it doesn't look like a coincidence given the fact that this is a running back that we've dealt with injuries in the past where we dealt with the ankle sprain. I mean, obviously a few years ago, but still, I think that that was a freak occurrence that we shouldn't necessarily project to happen again to Saquon Barkley coming up. If you were the coaching staff here for Barkley, if you were Barkley himself, when he's going to be getting a pretty large contract extension this offseason, are you going to go out there and demand to see 90+% of the snaps played in the league's worst offense on a team that has no aspirations for the playoffs whatsoever? Most likely not. So I'm actually going to be willing to buy low on Saquon Barkley. I would prefer Saquon Barkley over the 102, especially in a 10-team Superflex league. I know we keep on talking about this, but there is definitely a difference between a 10-team Superflex league compared to that 12-teamer where in a 10-team league, I'm not going to be considering I'm in a quarterback at either the 101 or the 102. So then you're looking at Saquon Barkley versus someone like Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker, whoever gets the best landing spot out of that grouping, and I definitely do prefer Saquon Barkley. And now going over to our next trade that's going to be coming out from Gabe says 10-team full PPR, triple wide receiver, super flex. We traded Juju Smith-Schuster and Evan McPherson for the 203, 13th overall in the 2022 rookie draft. Okay, I'm going to just say that this is just Juju Smith-Schuster for the 13th overall selection. And I honestly, I hate to say this. I hate to do it. Now, y'all know Juju Smith-Schuster is my guy. We went through and after his down season in 2019, I said, hell, let's buy him everywhere we can. Ben Roethlisberger, obviously, was out that year. And if you were looking at Juju, he himself was dealing with an injury. I was saying this is a clear buy low opportunity to get a blue chip dynasty asset. That 2019 offseason, we were just talking about buying Juju. He failed, and we said to buy him again. And he failed yet again. And then this season, he comes out here and I don't want to say he failed. He's injured the entire year. And he was on a 1-year prove-it deal for $8 million. So Juju, it seems like he has been in the NFL forever since he was drafted in 2017. But in reality, he's 25 years old. And he's just turned 25 as well. He's not going to turn 26 until halfway through next season. So it's interesting to talk about Juju, as I do think a team signs him, whether that's Detroit, whether that's Las Vegas, a team that has some money to just go and give him another prove-it deal to see if he can stay healthy. I'm cashing out, though. If you offer me the 13th overall pick in a super flex league where we know some wide receivers are going to be falling, where I could possibly go through and just reset it and take Chris Olave instead of Juju Smith-Schuster. I love Juju, to look at what he did his rookie season at 20 years old. Look at what he did his sophomore year at 21 years old. I mean, if you look at those seasons historically, they are some of the best age-adjusted production seasons of all time at the wide receiver position. But still, I think we just have to reset it. Let's take Chris Olave and give me the 13th pick overall. An unpopular bear coming out. Thank you, my man, of course, for being a part of the flock. Just got you down that podcast breakdown of your team on Patreon, of course. It's going to be a 2-quarterback full PPR. Traded away Dak and Miles Sanders for Trey Lance and J.K. Dobbins. I love it. I mean, we actually saw in a startup draft earlier this week. It was a mock draft, but still, we actually saw someone decide to go Trey Lance over Dak Prescott, which I said was bad. I think that you should prefer having Dak Prescott. I have Dak Prescott ranked higher than Trey Lance on Patreon. But, I mean, they are still at least in conversation with each other if it's going to be a 4-point passing touchdown with the tiers that you have, just given the fact that with a player like Trey Lance, he has that elite rushing upside, stepping into that elite level situation. I really want to say that Lance is that blue chip prospect. And if we're trading away Miles Sanders for J.K. Dobbins, that's also going to be a smash. And that you're looking at J.K. Dobbins as a player that's going to be playing in a much better offense that has the job security that I don't think Miles Sanders does. If you look at the resources that Philadelphia has available this year, whether that's draft capital, whether that's just the money that they're going to have in free agency, I would definitely prefer Trey Lance, J.K. Dobbins. Love that deal. And Joe coming out says, okay, we got 3 trades to break down from Joe. Okay, 12-team dynasty, not super flex. We got a 1-quarterback league where our current quarterbacks are Rodgers, Lawrence, Fields, and Lance. Okay, so if it's not super flex, if it's a 1-quarterback format, my friend, we're rostering too many quarterbacks here. Trade 1, received Trey Lance and a future first, sent Devonta Smith. I'm fine with it. Trade 2, received T. Higgins, Cam Akers, and a future first, sent Christian McCaffrey and a future second. Love that deal. I mean, if we assume that T. Higgins is worth the first and a second, Cam Akers is worth the first and a second, we essentially sent Christian McCaffrey for the equivalent of 3 first-round picks and a second-rounder. I think with Christian McCaffrey going down yet again this season, that's going to be a nice trade. And the first trade received Devonta Smith, Travis Etienne, and a future first, sent Cooper Kupp and Michael Gallup. Okay, so if we were to go through and break this down and kind of change the Devonta Smith side, because keep in mind, you went through and you just continue to roll with this deal. We actually can replace Devonta Smith with Trey Lance and a future first. So if we break this down as in just instead of Smith, it's the first and Trey Lance, we sent Cooper Kupp for Travis Etienne, 2 future first, Trey Lance, and we also sent Michael Gallup in the deal. I'm fine with it. I mean, the thing is, if we go through and if we say that Travis Etienne as well is worth a first-round pick, we're going through and we're selling Cooper Kupp for 3 first. And I know that Cooper Kupp obviously coming off one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time. But at the end of the day, if you can ever sell a wide receiver in Dynasty not named Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson for 3 first-round picks, it's probably a good idea to do so, even if it's a 1-quarterback format and those picks are inherently worth a little bit less. Okay, Gus coming out with our next question says, 12-team Dynasty Superflex tight end premium best ball. Traded Cam Akers. Keep in mind, if it's a best ball Dynasty league, you always want to get the side that has more pieces. You want to be able to have those just secondary players pop off on a week-to-week basis randomly. So we traded Cam Akers and DW. I'm assuming this is Darrell Williams. Maybe I'm missing out on someone. For Javonte Williams, Ryan Tannehill, the 204, and Denzel Mims. Unless DW is someone I'm not thinking of right now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't know. I mean, I love this trade. I prefer Javonte Williams over Cam Akers. And, I mean, Ryan Tannehill, the 204, and Denzel Mims. I like it. Who's DW? Who's DW? Please help me out in the comment section. Let me know what I'm missing here. Now, Noah coming out says, traded Justin Jefferson in a second to a Vikings homer for CeeDee Lamb and Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, you know you smashed this trade. I don't need to go through and say how much this trade was won by, but even if Christian McCaffrey is someone that you want to label as injury-prone going forward, this is a no-brainer deal. Gavin coming out with our next one says 12-team Dynasty PPR Superflex traded the 101, the 205 for Justin Fields, the 203, and the 212. Okay, so I don't like this. I don't like this. I mean, if we're looking at Justin Fields, I know a lot of people want to go through and buy low on him. My issue is, while yes, I agree that the majority of the blame for that Chicago Bears offense failing can be placed on Matt Nagy. I'm 100% there with you. This is a team that's going to have a very bad wide receiver room this upcoming season. They have no Allen Robinson. They traded their first round pick to go get Justin Fields. And at the same time, this is an offense that, I mean, it's going to be hard to go through and see them fixing this situation. I know a lot of people want to assume the second you remove Matt Nagy, everything is perfect. But in reality, that's not necessarily the case. In reality, you have to have a coach coming in. You have to have someone coming in to fix this situation, turn this offense around. And that's so much easier said than done. There's a reason why you have so many bad coaches in the NFL. There's a reason why Matt Nagy has a job for so long. There's a reason why Jeff Fisher has a job for so long. It's not because these are great coaches. It's because good luck finding a great coach. It's not like you remove a horrible one and then all of a sudden just 10 different candidates that all are fantastic, that you know which one's going to be able to turn the situation around comes just running into the, like, you know how hard it is to find an Andy Reid? You know how hard it is to find a Sean McVay? I can't get behind Justin Fields all of a sudden having just a year or two resurgence. I know that a lot of people want to blame it on Matt Nagy. You look historically speaking with how bad he was his rookie year. It's hard to see Justin Fields all of a sudden being worth more than the rookie pick 101 this season. Now, I think that should be it for this video. Of course, thank you all so much for everybody checking out. If you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And I believe we should have gotten to every Patreon comment that was left at the time that I recorded this video. Of course, if you want to involve yourself in our future Dynasty Trade videos, you can find that down there in the description of the video to join Patreon. I think that's all I got for you. Hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you out with the live stream sometime tomorrow.